It's happened to you. Don't lie. You were sitting on your sofa, struck by a sudden, brilliant flash of inspiration. I need to go to the kitchen and get a glass of water. You stand up with purpose. You walk 10 steps. You cross the threshold of the kitchen door. And then, poof! Your brain undergoes a factory reset. You're standing in front of the fridge, staring at a jar of pickles, wondering if you've developed early-onset dementia at the age of 28. Your mind is a total blank. The mission has been wiped from your hard drive. You look around the room for clues. Was I here to clean? Was I here to eat? Am I just here to stare at the wall until my soul returns to my body? This isn't a sign that your brain is broken. In fact, it's a sign that your brain is working too well as a file manager. Welcome to the doorway effect, a psychological phenomenon where crossing a physical boundary causes your brain to archive your current thoughts to make room for new ones. Think of your working memory like a small, cluttered desk. There's only so much space. To keep things efficient, your brain uses event models. When you're in the living room, your brain loads the living room app. It has your remote, your snacks, and your Netflix queue ready. But the moment you walk through that door into the kitchen, your brain screams, "New environment!" Context switch. It slams the living room folder shut and opens the kitchen app. The problem is, your water mission was stored in the living room folder. When that folder was archived, your intent went with it. You're left standing there with a high-performance brain that has absolutely no idea what its owner wants. It's the ultimate evolutionary irony. We are the most intelligent species on the planet, yet we can be defeated by a simple wooden door frame. And before you start Googling early signs of Alzheimer's in a panic, let me stop you right there. This isn't a glitch, it's an update. Your brain is trying to be helpful by clearing out old data so you don't get eaten by a tiger in the new room. Of course, there are no tigers in your kitchen, just a toaster and some unpaid bills, but your 50,000-year-old hardware doesn't know that. Let's find out how this memory eraser actually works, and how you can stop being a victim of your own house. If the doorway effect is the software glitch, then working memory is the hardware limitation. Think of your brain as a top-tier gaming PC, but with the RAM of a 1995 calculator. Back in the 1950s, a psychologist named George Miller discovered something embarrassing for our species: the magical number 7, plus or minus 2. This is the maximum number of items most humans can hold in their conscious mind at once. 7. That's it. 7 numbers, 7 words, or 7 tasks. This is exactly why phone numbers were originally 7 digits long. Your brain is essentially a world-class juggler who can only handle 7 balls. The moment you throw an 8th ball, like your spouse asking you to pick up some milk while you're already trying to remember your password and your grocery list, your brain decides to drop the most important ball first. This is where the attention filter comes in. Your brain is constantly being bombarded by billions of bits of data. The hum of the fridge, the feeling of your socks, the notifications on your phone. To survive, your brain has to be a ruthless bouncer at a club. It rejects almost everything to focus on those 7 precious slots. If you don't tag a thought as high priority, the bouncer throws it out the back door within 20 seconds. This is why you forget things you never actually remembered in the first place. You didn't forget where you put your keys. You just never invited that information into the club. You were too busy thinking about a YouTube comment or what you're having for dinner. Your working memory was already full, and the key's location data was left standing in the rain outside. And here's the scary part: stress, fatigue, and even your smartphone act like memory-leaking viruses. They eat up those 7 slots before you even start your day. By the time you need to remember why you walked into the kitchen, you're operating on about 2 slots of RAM. One is for, "Don't trip over the cat," and the other is for, "Well, I'm tired." No wonder the water mission got deleted. It's not dementia, it's just a full disk. We treat forgetfulness like a defect. But have you ever considered the horror of remembering everything? Imagine if your brain preserved every single detail of your life with the same intensity. The exact pattern of the floor tiles in a public restroom you visited in 2012, or the license plate of every car that passed you on the highway this morning. Your mind would be a hoarder's house, packed with so much useless junk that you'd never find the keys to your own front door. This is why your brain isn't just a recording device. It's a professional forgetting machine. To keep your sanity, your brain has to aggressively prune the garden of your memories. If it doesn't serve a purpose for your survival or your future, it gets the axe. There's a rare condition called hyperthymesia, where individuals can remember every single day of their lives in vivid detail. Ask them what happened on a random Tuesday 20 years ago, and they'll tell you the weather, what they ate, and the color of their socks. It sounds like a superpower, right? Wrong. Most of them describe it as a nightmare. They are constantly drowning in the past, unable to prioritize the present. This brings us to the synaptic pruning process. Every night while you sleep, your brain acts like a janitor in an office building. It walks through the halls of your neurons and asks, do we still need to know the lyrics to that annoying jingle from 1998? No? Delete. Do we need to remember the name of the person we met for 5 seconds at a party? No? Into the incinerator. So, when you stand in the kitchen wondering why you're there, your brain might have just been a little too enthusiastic with its spring cleaning. It's not failing you, it's optimizing you. It's clearing out the cache so the system doesn't crash. You aren't losing your mind, you're just making room for something better. Even if that something better hasn't arrived yet. Let's look at how we can actually work with this system instead of fighting it. But let's talk about the modern culprit in your pocket, the smartphone. You've heard the term digital dementia, right? That terrifying idea that our devices are rotting our brains? It's not that your brain is rotting, it's just that it's become a world-class delegator. Why waste precious neural energy remembering your best friend's phone number or the name of that restaurant when Google can do it for you in 0.5 seconds? This is known as the Google effect or digital amnesia. Studies show that when we know information is easily accessible online, our brain intentionally chooses not to store the information itself. Instead, it only stores the location of that information. Your brain isn't recording the what, it's recording the where. You don't remember the fact, you just remember where to find the link. Think of your brain as a CEO who realized he could outsource the entire filing department to a cloud server for free. It's efficient, sure, but there's a catch. Since we rely on these external hard drives for everything, our internal encoding muscles are getting weak. We've stopped paying deep attention because we know we can just control plus F our lives later. This constant context switching, caused by notifications, is like a DDoS attack on your working memory. Every time your phone dings, it's like someone walking into your office and throwing your files on the floor. It takes an average of 23 minutes to get back to deep focus after a single interruption. By the time you refocus, those 7 slots of working memory we talked about, they're scrambled. So, when you stand in the kitchen wondering why you're there, it's often because your phone dinged halfway through the hallway. Your brain dropped the water mission to prioritize the new like on Instagram mission. You aren't losing your memory, you're just losing the battle for your own attention. You've handed the remote control of your mind to a piece of glass and silicon. Let's see how we can take it. So, how do we fix this? How do we stop being NPCs in our own homes? The first step is to stop panicking about dementia and start respecting the limitations of your hardware. Since we know the doorway effect is real, we can use a technique called contextual anchoring. Before you even stand up from the sofa, visualize the water. Feel the cold glass. Say it out loud. I am going to get water. By saying it out loud, you're not just using your working memory, you're engaging your auditory cortex. You're creating a secondary backup file that is much harder for the doorway to delete. If you do get to the kitchen and forget, don't just stand there staring at the fridge. Go back to the living room. Return to the original context, and your brain will likely reload the missing file. Secondly, we need to treat our attention as a finite resource. Stop the DDoS attacks. Turn off the non-essential notifications. Give your brain a chance to finish its current event model before forcing it to open a new one. Your working memory is a 7-slot machine. Don't let Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk occupy 5 of them for free. And finally, embrace the digital Sabbath. Occasionally, leave the phone in another room. Force your brain to do the encoding muscles work. Remember that your mind is the most sophisticated architect in existence, but even the best architect needs a clean desk to work. Give your brain the silence it needs to decide what's worth keeping and what's worth throwing away. The next time you find yourself standing in a room, wondering why you're there, just laugh. It's not your brain failing. It's your brain being brilliantly efficient in a world that is far too loud. You aren't losing your mind, you're just learning how to drive it. I'm Abel, and I hope you remember why you watched this video, even after you walk through the next door. See you guys in the next reality.